Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In a very personal way. It wasn't a stereotyped introduction. Yeah, I first came to India in 1976, and I came in 1977 to stay, which I more or less did, although during the 1980s I was in Bangladesh, Thailand and other places close to India. But I didn't come to Hyderabad or to South India at all until it must have been 1988 or 89. It's quite a long time. I came and was based in Hyderabad for some time, traveling in Andhra Pradesh. From Anandamai Prabhu invited me to come. He said I would like it in South India, and I did, because I like to preach from Shastra and give sloks. It used to be in the South that there was, Shastric knowledge was quite well known, and just, I remember I had a bookstall out on the Nampally Station Road, just where it joins the entrance to this temple. On that side, and someone just came up and said that well, Madhva says that the three kinds of souls, and Gauriyas don't say that. So what do you say? And I said, well, what's Madhva's evidence? It's from Gita. Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sasvabhavaja. But I said it's the word dehi, means in the body. It's not according to the body. And he said, thank you. I asked your Prabhupada that question, and he gave the same answer. So, but that kind of thing. I remember seeing, I believe it was Deccan Herald, and they were quoting Singhavalokanyaya. How many of you know what Singhavalokanyaya is? You know, yeah. It used to, but it was common enough that they put it in the Deccan Herald, and people were supposed to understand what it means. What it means is that a Simha means a lion, and Avalokan means looking, glancing. So the idea is that the lion walks through the forest very confidently, but he looks back as he's going. And there are various usages of this Singhavalokanyaya. So it may be that in studying Shastra, some statement is made, and it refers back to something that was said previously. That's one usage of Singhavalokanyaya. So this culture was very strong of knowing Shastra, and I don't think it's there now, but it was there, and I like that because it was much stronger. People would know. It was a very common thing. You'd like to sit down, some facility for them to sit. If they need some more chairs, can maybe have to tell them in Telugu. They can sit on the floor. Yeah, so I had a lot of nice experiences traveling around in Andhra Pradesh. At that time it was all Andhra Pradesh. Sometimes, at this time of life, people often think, now I'm almost getting toward 70 years old, getting that way. 24, 25, yeah, just short of 70. So this time of life you often think, well, if I could go back and rewind and do something different, what would I do? Maybe I would have learned Telugu. It's a very good preaching field, no doubt. And it's still there. We need white-bodied devotees, especially, to preach in Telugu. It would be a big hit. Śrīla Prabhupāda told Bhagavat Das, he sent him to Orissa to be with Gaur Govinda Maharaj. He told, if you preach in big, strong, at least looked strong, although he's always getting sick, I remember, like most of the Western devotees in India at that time, in the 1970s. So he told that, Śrīla Prabhupada told him, if you preach in Oriya, then thousands of people will come and bow down to you. Prabhupada wanted that. Unlike the Ritvigvadis who think that you shouldn't bow down to any of Prabhupada's disciples, but Prabhupada wanted that his disciples would be glorified. So same thing here. There's very religious spirit in the whole of this area, the whole of this state. Somehow this among the Telugu people, there's a very strong religious spirit, and this Andhra Pradesh was made a state according to linguistic divisions, which isn't very realistic because there are Telugu people scattered all over the place, much beyond Andhra Pradesh, in South Orissa, in various parts of Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Bellary and Raichur. They're actually full of Telugu people. Then in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, there are Telugu people. And in North Tamil Nadu, there are so many Telugu people, and we find that many people who become devotees in Tamil Nadu are actually from Telugu background. So somehow that's there in the culture. And the Christians found out about that too, and they're busy converting like anything. It's a good field for them. And then we have Hindu organizations going behind them trying to reconvert them. People are looking for some spiritual experience or religious experience. Despite so much atheistic propaganda, people are looking for some spiritual experience. And it's very easy to cheat people who have a strong religious tendency. That's there, unfortunately, also. There's a Christian preacher in Bhimavaram who goes around with his wife on a rat around the town, and all the Christians come and worship him. That's not in Christian. I never saw that in Christianity. But that tendency to worship a religious leader. It's good if it's directed in the right way. But there are many cheaters also who take people's faith, their sentiment, and mislead them. So we need to establish who is the real guru. When we say the real guru, it can be anyone who takes the message and presents it as it is. In one sense, guru is one. Inasmuch as real guru must teach the actual truth as it is. Medicine. Okay. But that's also not easy. This Hyderabad and the whole of Andhra Pradesh used to be a place, the whole state, many people were very much devoted to this Satya Sai Baba. It's laughable in one way, and like many things, you don't know whether to laugh or cry, because the piety of people being misdirected. Very unfortunate. Once I was in near to Śrīla. There you see someone's leaving now. No, he's getting up to take a photo. Okay. Is he leaving or what's he doing? That happens often in talks. When I give talks, people get up and leave. There's photographer. I was near Śrīla. There's a township. There's the dam on the Kṛṣṇa river, I believe it is. So I was there with a Sankirtan party. We were traveling around, doing programs, distributing books. So we had this every morning early, wherever we were, we'd go out early in the morning and do Harinam Sankirtan. And one group of people joined us. And they looked like very educated people, they're probably engineers and all this. So they joined us, and then they were chanting Hare Krishna with us very enthusiastically. We went all around. And then they said, we'd like you to come to our temple. So I went to the Sai Baba temple. They were worshipping Sai Baba. There's no picture of Krishna, only Sai Baba. There's big hairs and everything. So they did the arati. They brought the lamp for me to put I didn't put my hand to take the flame. They finished the arati, and I told them that you're so fortunate to have such a strong religious tendency, and you're so unfortunate that you're following this cheetah. What should I say? What should you say in such a situation? That's come down now. Now, Shirdi, more popular. So many trains from Hyderabad and Secunderabad to where? Where is that? Nanded? No. Is it Nanded in Maharashtra? Nanded, is it? I'm wondering why so many trains to such a remote spot, because it's near to Shirdi. It's the rail stop for Shirdi. There are about 4 trains. There are about 6-7 trains a day from Twin Cities to Tirupati, and about 3 or 4 trains for Shirdi. So people are very pious, but misled. So we have to give real knowledge. You should go to the real. Tad vijnanartam sakaru meva vigachat. Tad vijnanartam. Would the ladies like to come in and sit down? You don't have to stand up so much time. Oh, okay, sit down there. Tat vijnana. For the sake of that knowledge, one should approach the Guru. What is that knowledge? Then you have to see the verse in context. This comes after a description of someone who has realized that even if you go to the heavenly planets, it's miserable there. Everything in this world is temporary and miserable. Therefore, one should seek out that position beyond birth and death. That is the title of one of Śrīla Prabhupāda's small books. Beyond birth and death. Prastasmatu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu. What is it? Nashyatsu navinashyati. There is an eternal spiritual world beyond this material world, which is subject to destruction. Everything in this world will be destroyed, but there is a spiritual world one should seek out. It's not destroyed. That is Sanatan Dham. So to get knowledge of that, in the introduction to Śrīla Prabhupāda's Bhagavad Gita as it is, he says, one should seek out this Sanatan Dham. One should aspire to go to that place. So for knowledge of that, for the knowledge of the science, science means understanding things as they are. That was one of Śrīla Prabhupāda's simple definitions. Science means to understand things as they are. So one should approach a guru who can give knowledge of that. But unfortunately, what's going on in the name of Hindu Dharma is the idea that you approach a guru and give some blessings so you can go on happily in your material life. That is not a guru. That is a cheater. A real guru must teach us that there's no happiness in this material world. Whatever you do, however much money you get, however happy your family life is, which is unusual nowadays. It was quite common that when I first came to India in the 1970s. It was a normal thing that people, they felt more or less stable and happy in their family life, which seems to be not very common nowadays. There's a lot of demoniac propaganda about the role of women. Why do I say that? Well, Śrīla Prabhupada says that in Bhagavad Gita as it is. That the demons want to propagate that women and men, they're all the same. It really messes up society very badly. We get a particular body according to our past karma, and with that body comes a certain psyche and a certain responsibility. And if we try to act differently to that, it messes everything up. Śrīla Prabhupada, like his guru before him, stood for propagating Bhagavad Gita as it is, knowledge of the absolute truth as it is. And to establish that, one has to also point out so many wrong ideas. People just take it for granted that the goal of life is to work hard and make lots of money, because you don't hear anything else from them since the moment you're born. But any true spiritual teacher must point out that simply to work in this world is not at all the goal of life. Having attained the rare human form of life, we should aspire for that. Tasaiva heto prayateta labhyate. We should aspire for that which cannot be attained even by going to the heavenly worlds, even to the planet of Brahma. We should aspire for our real inner need of our heart. We are concerned with externals. The whole society, we never get any idea that there's anything else. From the very beginning we think, because the whole society is like that. That you have to get things. You have to get gadgets. You have to dress nicely, fancy clothes, and get money and get an apartment and earn lots of money. But what is our heart's inner need? We have no idea of that. Nothing in this world can satisfy us. I never bought a smartphone or an iPhone in my life, but I think most of you have done so. I can guess that when you're going to get a new phone, you're excited about it. It seems people get excited about phones, and they queue up in a line to get the latest phone. I guess you had this experience that you were very excited, but then when you get it, it doesn't give you the kind of happiness that you thought you were going to get from getting it. Do you have that experience? I can imagine you have that. That's material life. It's called akanksha. We're expecting that in future we'll get something good, something better, but then when we get it, it doesn't fulfill our desire. But we go on hoping. This is called hope against hope. We have so many hopes. Eventually it will get better. A time will come when everything will be nice. Or sometimes people give up and then they become depressed, sink into tamoguna. They're either desiring material happiness or being depressed at not getting it. They're both situations of ignorance. Śrīla Prabhupāda pointed out the various forms that ignorance takes. Ignorance, well, we literally have the word agyana, which means lack of knowledge. Avidya, very similar. Or the English word is ignorance, which has different etymological root. If we have the word ignore, it means that we know it's there, but we just pretend it's not there. So we have the word ignorance in English. But again, if we say it's simply lack of knowledge, it's actually more than that in one sense. Just like, how many of you have heard of Glenn Hoddle? No, you're completely ignorant about Glenn Hoddle. Don't know. His name's in one of the old Back to Godhead magazines. He was the England football team manager. How did his name come in the Back to Godhead magazine? Because he said he believed in reincarnation. And a journalist asked him, well, do you believe that people are spastics due to bad karma? And he said yes. And there was an uproar. How can you be so cruel? And he had to resign as the England football manager, which is a very prestigious position. So now you know something about Glenn Hoddle. I'm just bringing this to show that ignorance means complete lack of knowledge of something. But what we have in the material world, that ignorance or avidya, agyana, it's not only lack of knowledge, but it takes a form of artificial knowledge. For instance, if we have a guru who tells us all nonsense, we take that to be true. Or there are different thought systems, philosophies, and we tend to see the world through a different worldview. Shraddhamayo yang purusha yo yach shraddha sa eva saha. We have different kinds of faith, and according to that faith, that forms our personality. The use of the word Shraddha here in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna, I take that to mean the English word worldview. There's a fancy word in German that philosophers use, Weltanschauung. It just means the same thing, worldview, but in philosophy they use it because, I don't know, they think it makes them more learned or something. how would you say that? Chinta Shrot? Something like that. In Hindi, you could say. The flow of our thoughts. So ajnana doesn't, it's not just something lacking, but we have to put something in place of that. For instance, Marxism is a world, it's a philosophy which has been adopted as a worldview, and it has its practical repercussions. Practical repercussion, for much of the 20th century, much of the world was going on according to communism. And still it has its influence, until recently in West Bengal and still in Kerala. What's the state government now? Any idea? Anyone? Communists. Yeah. All Hindus. West Bengal? No, they're not communists now. Yeah. Hindus mostly vote in Kerala for atheists. It's atheistic. Openly atheistic. And then there's neo-Marxism. Oh, then we get into some... Because Karl Marx said the whole of... He interpreted history as a struggle between the capitalists and the common people, the workers. And those who have money exploit those who don't have money. But neo-Marxism comes up with the idea that, well, it's not only people who have money who are exploiting, but there are so many levels of exploitation. The whites have exploited the non-whites. The heterosexuals have put down the homosexuals. The males have put down the females. This whole feminism is based on an idea that the whole of history is one of males dominating females, and now you have to put it round the other way. It's a very poisonous philosophy. I'm just giving this an example. There are so many. If you're a staunch Christian, you see the world through whichever Christian doctrine you subscribe to. And many of them think that Jesus is just now coming. Have you heard that? They've been saying it for about 2,000 years. I used to, as a child, I used to come and run into Christian preachers, Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, and tell you Jesus is coming in 2 years. And if you don't follow what we say, you're going to go to hell forever. And 2 years came and went, and then they recalculated from the Bible, and then it comes another 2 years. And then, but they really believe it, and their whole life, the way they see the world, the way they interact with the world, even some American politicians were saying, and until recently, we don't have to worry about all this climate disaster, because anyway, Jesus is going to come soon, and then he'll throw all those people into hell, and we'll go to heaven, and there's no pollution there. So we don't have to bother about all this climate and all this. If you see through the eyes of Hitler, he influenced the whole of Germany, or most of the people of Germany, into cooperating with him very enthusiastically with his fascist philosophy, which is seen as hellish nowadays. There are some people are readopting it. So I'm just saying this, that according to the, it's nice for photographers, right? I've got my hand up and he's putting his camera up. I can do some poses if you like. Photographers shouldn't laugh. You can't do your job properly if you start laughing. Yeah, just like in America, it's been a huge issue. Abortion and it still is a huge issue in the public life. And it's Christians who are opposing abortion. Staunch Christians. Here in India, Hindus, they don't give a damn. The abortion is going on. It's not an issue at all. It's going on rampantly. No one cares at all. But I'm just saying this to show that ajnana takes different forms. It may be Marxism or Christianity. There are some good things there. Belief in God, opposition to abortion, some good things. But we see the world through a world view. Everyone does. Even if someone says, I'm not interested in any philosophy. That in itself is a kind of philosophy. I just work hard and I support my family and I drink beer and that's it. But that's also a kind of philosophy. Whether we like it or not, being humans, we have some kind of worldview. And all of those outside of that given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita are either incorrect or partially correct or incomplete. And then we have to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, without malinterpretation. You can look up the word malinterpretation in the dictionary. You won't find it. It's a word that Śrīla Prabhupāda used. Maybe it's in the dictionary now. It may be that it's been adopted from Śrīla Prabhupāda. Malinterpretation means it's not just a misinterpretation, but deliberately with the intent to do wrong, to mislead people. It's being misrepresented. So Śrīla Prabhupāda, in presenting the absolute truth, as must any Acharya, he must not only say what the actual truth is, but he has to disabuse people of their wrong ideas. Disabuse means to dissipate, to destroy their wrong ideas. Khandan karna. Kusidant khandan karna. It's a necessary duty of anyone who is to establish the absolute truth, is to speak against prevalent misconceptions. And they change as society changes. We don't find previous acharyas like Madhvacharya, Sri Ramanujacharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti speaking against modern science, because it wasn't there at the time. There were similar equivalents of materialistic atheism, Kṛṣṇa philosophy, that everything is just atoms, everything is simply a combination of atoms. Krishna himself speaks against it briefly in Bhagavad Gita, that asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishvaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haituka. In one verse, Krishna covers a whole gamut of ancient and contemporary and future atheistic outlooks. There's no God. Everything, it's just here and it's just going on. And everything is simply just going on, just like that. No need to bring any idea of God. But the different ideas come up and become prominent. There was no Rama-Krishna mission in the time of Vishwanath Chakravarti, so there's no, their philosophy was not there to speak against. It's become very controversial to speak against Ramakrishna mission because of the internet, and the ISKCON preachers may be faulted for that. But philosophically, we have to point out that there's something wrong with the idea Joto Mat Toto Pat, spoken by Ramakrishna, that as many paths, as many opinions, that many paths. Actually, intrinsically, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a statement of fact, that according to the way you think, you'll have a different path according to that. But it's taken to mean that all paths lead to the same goal, which is not correct. It doesn't make sense logically. And in that way, it's even logically or even practically. It's not that by being an atheist of the kind of the Richard Dawkins type of atheist, you're going to get the same result as someone who does believe in God. Or it's not that, or that by following karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, you all get the same result. There are many other things also. But I'm just giving this as an example that the Ramakrishna mission preaching became very prominent, and so if someone is to present the actual teachings of Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's something you have to speak about. You have to combat it, and there will be opposition, there will be blowback. You have to be prepared for that. So Śrīla Prabhupāda was doing that also. Here in Hyderabad, he was very much here in Hyderabad, as in other places in India, but here in Hyderabad, especially Basu Ghoshbu, I've heard him say this dozens of times because he was here, and he was one of the main collectors for the building of the temple originally. He was here when Śrīla Prabhupāda was here, and he was with Śrīla Prabhupāda many times in different parts of India, especially here in Hyderabad. And he said, especially in Hyderabad, Śrīla Prabhupāda is practically pleading with the people, do not give up your original culture. And how much it has gone down since then. But still that feeling for something religious is there. That's why you're all here. You have a feeling that we need something more in our life than roti kapra makan. Food, clothing and shelter. These are the basic needs for the body. But we need more. So you've come here. You're regularly coming here to get something more. If we preach, well, we do preach in Europe and other countries, we won't get so many people coming. In fact, in Europe and America, where we do get many people coming, they're mostly Indian. Indians have gone to work in the West. Most of the Indians who go to work in the West lose their culture very badly, very quickly. But some don't. It's not so easy. There's some piety still in India, despite all the degradation. It's very noticeable when you go from India to the West, and then if you spend some time in the West and come back, it's very noticeable, the difference. When you arrive in an airport and then security staff or whatever, you say Hare Krishna to them. Or they'll say it to you even before you say it to them. It doesn't happen in the West. Not with the Western people. Sometimes, rarely, it happens. In Russia, when we were, I was locked up there. You were there. One of the guards came and said to me, Hare Krishna. And he found that when he was younger, he used to come to the devotees and this and that. Russia also good scope, but not like here. So there's good scope, but it's difficult also. It's a struggle. Yogang patas tad kavayo vedanti. How's that verse? Utishta jagrata prapya varang vibhudata. Get up, wake up. Become aware of the boon you have in human life. Become aware. Don't just spend your life eating, sleeping. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha. Become aware of what you can. Become aware of your real potential. Right? There are so many personality development courses. Awaken your real potential is to become a servant. You want to become the master. I often quote in Surat, I used to see one notice board. Nokari charo vyapar karo. Hamse loan le lo. And most people take a loan and then they go more into debt and then they fluff it in the business and then they have worse nokari all their life. But the idea is not good to be a servant, but to really understand our full potential means to become a servant, and not only but a servant of a servant. Many of you still may, it's less now than it used to be, but pretty much every household used to have servants. And even the servants, they would also have servants. Some of them. So to be a servant of a servant isn't a very prestigious position. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaches, and all the Vaishnavacharya, we have even Ritrasura in the Bhagavatam, then we have Kula Shekhar Alva teaching us that the real discovery of our potential is to become the servant of 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 who? Krishna. Krishna is so great that even if we have a relationship with him from a great distance, it may be going through one person who goes serving another, that's very great. That's the fulfillment of our potential. Lord Brahma and Uddhava, they prayed to become grass in Vrindavan, so that sometime the dust of the feet of the gopis could go on their head. What would you like to be? A gopi? You don't like to be gopis? Well, someone has to be the grass also, right? The cows have got to eat no gopis without cows, and cows eat grass. So some living beings have to be, but they're all they're all contributing to Krishna's pastimes, whatever it may be. It may be a grain of dust in Vrindavan. That's a highly exalted position. This is our real need, is to become the servant of the servant. We put the dust of Vrindavan on our head. The dust of Vrindavan is so exalted because so many exalted devotees, they put their feet there on the dust. So that becomes our aspiration. But to attain that, we have to go through a process. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He came to give what? Krishna Prem. That you all know. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kare Shaparsha Dashiyadham Shaha Avatai Atanta Durlabha Prema Kare Bare Dan Shikai Sharanagati Bhakotera Pra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being very merciful upon the fallen jivas, descended from the spiritual world along with his eternal associates, along with his eternal dham, and he gave extremely rare prem, love of Krishna. How did he do that? By teaching the process of Sharanagati. There's a process. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami is the Bhakti Rasa-ācārya. He revealed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's inner heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radha, pining for Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Rupa Goswami, first you should teach everyone to rise early in the morning, have Mangal Arati, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, brush their teeth, all these things. That comes also in the instructions to Rupa and Sanatana. We have to begin somewhere. We're looking at a very high level. To go there, we can go immediately, but we have to be willing. And our kusanskara, our bad practice, and our deeply ingrained mentality from uncountable lifetimes makes us feel as if Krishna consciousness is an artificial imposition. Śrīla Prabhupāda said that this chanting of Hare Krishna, it is not an artificial imposition on the mind, but we may feel like that. So we have to do sadhana. Sadhana means coming in contact with Krishna by hearing and chanting and serving. And we do it, we chant Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupāda chants Hare Krishna. It's the same sound, but there's a difference. Śrīla Prabhupāda is chanting Hare Krishna. He is experiencing Krishna directly. And we experience some sound through layers of false ego. But if we have faith in Śrīla Prabhupāda, the Acharyas, the Shastra, then we can have faith that this name is Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvan Nama Namino Ho. That this name is Krishna, directly, fully spiritual, complete, perfect. And with that faith, we go on chanting. And if we go on chanting with that faith, having heard from a pure devotee, then begins the process, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, cleansing of the heart. And we have to go on chanting. We may be disappointed. I've been chanting for 10 years and still I didn't see Krishna dancing in front of me. We have to have faith. 10 years, what is that? Pantastu koti vatsara sampragamyo. Koti Shata koti vatsara sampragamyo. Vayora tapi manaso mundi pungavanam sopyasti yatmapati simya vinchintya tat. Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The yogis are trying with very difficult meditation over many hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of years, but they can't even come close to the lotus feet of Krishna, because Krishna is inconceivable. It is by his inconceivable mercy he comes as the holy name. You have to have a little patience. Little patience. Rupa Goswami again advises us, Utsaha, Nisya, Dharya. We should have enthusiasm, determination, and patience that this will have its effect. What is that verse? Someone asked me today. I just quoted that. Svadvi Kramad. How does that begin? Syat Krishna nama charitadi stitopya vidya. See the word avidya? Hitopatapta rasanasya narochika nyu kintvādarād anudinam kalusaiva jushta svadvikramad bhavati tadgalamuda hantri. The holy name of Krishna is so sweet. Pure devotees, they relish it. Rupa Goswami again, he wrote his Namashtaka, saying that this chanting of Hare Krishna is so nice. I want millions of tongues and millions of ears to hear it. We don't feel like that. Why don't we feel like that? Because we're diseased. So Rupa Goswami gives this example. This verse I just quoted from Upadeshamrita, that the holy name of Krishna is naturally very sweet, but we are diseased. We have a spiritual disease. We're covered by so many anarthas. What's the cure for the disease? Rupa Goswami compares it to jaundice. Has anyone had jaundice, hepatitis? Anyone? You've had. I've had. The cure is to take mishri, anything sweet, mishri, sugarcane juice. When you take mishri, sugarcane juice, when you have jaundice, it tastes horribly bitter. That's not the real taste. The real taste is very sweet and very nice. But you have to keep on taking it, and as you become cured, it starts to taste nice. And when you're fully cured, then you can relish the taste. So in the same way, Rupa Goswami says, we have to go on chanting, and gradually the disease of avidya, ignorance, which separates us from Krishna, that will be cured by chanting. But chanting means hearing and chanting. In Bhakti, Shravan, Kirtan, they're inseparable. We have to hear also. The hearing process is also very purifying. Nashta prayesh vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata seva bhagavati tamashloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. The whole process of hearing. We have to hear about Krishna from Gita, Bhagavatam, and that will purify us. We have this experience reading Śrīla Prabhupāda's books. Very powerful message. Virya Samveda. In the association of devotees. Satam prasangam mama virya samvedo. Kapila Dev says, in hearing in the association, the powerful message of Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupada, his books are so powerful because he sees the absolute truth and he presents it, and he's empowered by Krishna to present it very clearly and straightforwardly. And if we are sincere, then we can accept this message. Yes, this makes sense. This is real. So we have to go on with the process. Often we wonder, oh, it's so difficult. How can I make advancement? We have to apply ourselves to the process. Śrīla Prabhupada gave for his disciples a process that every morning before doing anything else, we have at least 4 hours of sadhana. And then again in the evening, at least 2 hours. And then during the day, when you get time, you can do some extra reading. He said minimum chanting of 16 rounds. Conditions in contemporary life in big cities like Hyderabad are not at all conducive for spiritual advancement. For centuries it was the norm in this country that people would rise early in the morning and do puja, part, jap, dhyan, something. That was the norm. The women would sweep the house, the outside yard, and do rangoli. Brahmin wives would prepare the yajna materials for their husbands. They'd have to be there for doing the daily yajnas. And that was there before. Someone may go to the shop, he has his shop, or whatever he's doing. Even the shops, I think they may still do that. The first thing in the morning, you offer a stick of incense to whatever picture you have in the shop. They maybe still do that. Some people do that. In Orissa, you see Jagannath everywhere. In the shops, in the buses, everywhere. In central Orissa, most of Orissa. But modern life is so non-conducive. We have Sharanagati. There are 6 limbs of Sharanagati. First is Anukulyasya Sankalpa, to accept everything which is favorable for our spiritual advancement. Then Pratikulyasya Varjanam, to give up everything which is against our spiritual advancement. Practically the whole way of life is against our spiritual advancement. From the very beginning, as a child, you have to study, 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 and the goal of life. There was in Bangalore, some grandmother showing me her granddaughter. The granddaughter's 5 years. She's going to be a doctor. Poor girl, she's about 5 years old, and already she's being programmed to be a doctor. That means they're going to make her study, 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 work, work, work. And if somehow she doesn't make it up to that, then she'll be in a trauma and I'm a failure. And horrible. They think they're doing something good for the children. You become a doctor and then you have to become completely heartless, recommending operations for people that don't need it, just to take their money, which they don't have, which they have to go and take a loan. Just deliberately cheating people and messing up their body by doing an operation that isn't needed, just to take money out. It's horrible, such a horrible way of life. It's hard to be caught up in this way of life, to make spiritual advancement. We have to do the best we can, which for many means they're rushing out of the house and then they're clicking some rounds on a clicking machine as they're going to work. Śrīla Prabhupāda wanted to establish simple living, high-thinking communities so that devotee grihastas could escape from this horrible city life and have time to chant Hare Krishna and have an atmosphere where you're just associating with devotees. You don't have to associate with anyone else. You're living with devotees only. So that's one radical solution. It may not be possible for all, because from an early age you get saddled with so many loans. It's a great trap. It's a way to trap you by having loans, and then you're caught in the system and you can't escape from it. And you have to remain a servant of some, you don't even know who you're paying the loan to. It's someone in some corporation or some bank. You're just stuck with it. It's bifale sevinu kripana durajana chapala sukala balagire. That was stated by Govinda Das some hundreds of years ago. How much more true it is today. Uselessly working to serve some useless, nasty person who's just exploiting you, And what do you get out of all that? Just a little bit, very little sense gratification. Flickering sense gratification. So what to do if you're stuck in this way of life? Make the best of a bad bargain. Do the best you can. Don't unnecessarily increase your material liabilities. Everyone's got too much as it is anyway. If you can make a living simply without having to work 14, 15, 16 or more hours a day, better if you can live peacefully and chant Hare Krishna. You can maybe look to the future for your children, train them in such a way that they don't get caught in this whole trap. It becomes very difficult because if you want to train your children not to get caught in the materialistic trap, then all your friends, relatives, everyone will, why are you mistreating your children by not forcing them to study 15 hours a day and take a 20 lakh loan for studies? Very heavy pressure. We have a great task ahead of us if we're actually to establish Krishna consciousness very widely in a way which is favorable for everyone. There are so many rascal philosophies to combat. It's not so easy. It's easy just to ignore them, all these rascal philosophies, and catch the people who are somewhat pious. But if we're really to establish Krishna consciousness in a very big way, we have to combat all these bogus philosophies and establish that the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is the absolute truth for everyone. It's not just a matter of you have your way, I have my way. No, there's Krishna's way. That's the way for everyone. So a lot of work to do. The whole society very complicated, just stressing out everyone's consciousness. Anyway, take shelter of the holy names. Nam bina kichu nahi kawara. There's nothing else. Choda bhuvana maja, in the 14 worlds. Nama shroy kori jotone tumi taka apana kaja. This jivana anita jana harsha tahe nanabida bipodaba. It's nothing new that life is full of misery. It's said in Shastra, even in Satya Yoga, Bhaktivedānta Thakur sings that life is short. Jivana anita, understand this, and it's full of difficulties, sufferings, struggles. Take, Bhaktivedānta Thakur recommends, Namashra, carefully take shelter of the holy names. And go on with your work. You have some work to do. If you can't avoid it, go on, do what you have to do, but take shelter of the holy names. That's general advice. Hare Krishna. I'll finish there for now, unless there are any questions.
Question? Any questions?
Yeah, there's a question here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj. I'm so blessed to have your association. So I have one question, Maharaj. Can I ask?
That's one question asked already. I asked if anyone had any questions, so go ahead.
Yeah, Maharaj, as we all
Time
know,
is valuable.
yeah, as we all know that Sanatana Dharma is very old, but
Dharma is not very old, it's eternal.
yes,
It's not very old. Very old means it has a fixture in time,
yes.
but it's beyond time, it's eternal.
So Sanatana Dharma is eternal.
From our perspective, we may think it's very old. But something which is Sanatan is neither new or old, it's ever existing. Different perspective.
But when we see in the world that majority of their Christians and Muslims, whereas the Sanatana, who follows the Sanatana Dharmas are very less. But it is eternal, as you said. But why it is like that?
Why is it like that? You can find the answer. Have you studied Srimad Bhagavatam?
I'm doing, I'm in the second canto.
Okay. If you get to the 11th canto, I believe it is, that Krishna states he first gave the knowledge of the Vedas to Brahma, and then it was given to different rishis, and they gave it to their disciples, and different people took it in different ways and interpreted it in different ways, and so many different philosophies came out. The truth is one, but the ability to understand and appreciate it is not. I was talking about their different worldviews, right?
Yeah.
So some worldviews are very attractive to people. This I quoted also that Yorach Chadhasa Eva Sa. One's whole personality is formed by their worldview. Then Trividha Bhavati Shraddha. There are three kinds: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. So in this Kali Yuga at the present time, worldviews which are influenced by Tamagun and Rajagun are going to be very popular. If we tell people that you don't have to follow any rules, and you just give me $2,000 and I'll give you a mantra and you'll get perfection in 10 days. Usually they make it a little longer, so they can get cheat more people before they're found out. But if you go to cheat people with something which is nonsensical, people will take it because they're in the lower modes. If we have a religion which recommends kill all the non-believers, that will appeal to people in Tamoguna. It's the influence, it's a complex thing, it's the influence of time also is there. In Kali Yuga, people take to Pakanda Dharma, that's called, or Parshanda Dharma. It's all there in the Bhagavatam, it's discussed.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
I won't get into it in more detail now.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. Maharaj, could you please explain what comes under Vaishnava Aparad?
Explain what comes under Vaishnava Aparad. There are different kinds of offenses to Vaishnavas. There are mental offenses, physical offenses. There are offenses of commission and of omission, mental, verbal and physical. In our mind if we feel something bad, but in Kali Yuga that won't take effect unless we verbalize it. Verbalizing is to verbally insult, and physical is to physically beat. Then there is offense by omission, failing to do what we should do. Why are you interested in Vaishnava Aparad? We should know what is aparad. At the same time, we shouldn't suspend our power of discrimination. This is a ploy used by bogus gurus and sahajiyas. Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupāda was much criticized for this. Why are you criticizing Vaishnavas? But he was pointing out that they're misleading people. It's a big topic. There's an essay on it by... Actually, I gave a series of talks on that, right? You can look it up. You can tell them. It's in there. Yeah. Yeah, all these... I've actually answered many of these questions in many of my talks. You can look it up. It's all there in Prabhupada's books also. But that's why you ask, right? Because you're in the second canto of Bhagavatam. Where is your reading up to? Bhagavad Gita, yeah. So yeah, you ask because those who are gurus are supposed to have studied Shastra, and then they can help to you to understand, because not everyone has read so much, so they can help you to understand. But generally one should not be envious of Vaishnavas. That's the general idea. Yes. If we see someone is... There are different levels also. This Upadesh Amrita again gives some idea that Drishtva Svabha. What is that? 3 levels? Dikshasti Chait Pranadevish. How does that begin? Krishneti Yasagiritam Manasadriyeta. We mentally respect anyone who's chanting Hare Krishna. Dikshasti Chet Pranatibis Chabadanta Misham. And one who's initiated and is seriously worshipping God, we should offer obeisance to. And then Sushrusha, Bhajana Vigyam, Anya Nindadi Shunya, Hridamipsitam, Sangalabhya. We should seek the association. See, he's a better guru than me. We should seek the association of those who are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness and devoid of all non-Vaishnava tendencies, such as making Vaishnava aparat. So, there's a little overview, little idea. Okay, one more question, then we'll finish up.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Like sometimes if we want to bring people to come to our classes or cultivate Krishna consciousness, and they try to avoid and they try to go away. So sometimes we feel like he is not listening or something. So what is the proper mood to...
I have a suggestion. Give them prasadam, little bit. And then when you meet them again, give some more. Very delicious prasadam. And tell them, we have very delicious feed, a whole big meal. But you have to come. That's one idea. Oh, something else I wanted to say. When I was coming here, I heard the kirtan, the 2-mic kirtan. You know about this? And actually, Śrīla Prabhupāda, he specifically said that the person who's leading the kirtan can use the mic, but then after that, he shouldn't sing again. So what happens is, you don't know who's leading, and who. So, and it's not sankirtan. You don't know who's leading and who's following because it's just one out. And another thing is that it's not sankirtan. It's just 2 people. You can't hear anyone else. So that's a suggestion. Don't have a mic for the response. Let everyone chant. Let them be heard. Okay, so we'll finish then.
Hare Krishna.